Hello, hello, hello. How you guys doing? This is good old Grandmaster Oven here, and this is the Anonymous Republic Network. How you guys doing? We're about 14 seconds in, so we're all good here. So, a good friend of mine, Jenny, she had this video. I guess I don't know if it's but French Dose. He's what his name is, French Dose, whatever the guy's name is. His name is French Dose the Lab, saying that there's no war on drugs. The gun violence is coming from Caucasians and blacks. But I want to respond to that shit, you know. So, respond. Now, here's the thing about the war on drugs, okay? The war on drugs was used to go after black people in the United States. All right. So, now, the whole war on drug thing is it a really war? We don't know. Yeah. So, there is a war on drugs. But, what kind of war on drugs, okay? Now, this dude is sounding like he's know his shit, but actually, the way he's talking about things, he's like Black Lives Matter. He just don't get it, and he's not hitting the target. So, there's a lot of drugs coming in the United States from Mexico, from Colombia, from other places. Now, if you watch the interview on Vlad TV with Freeway Ricky Ross, he will narrow it down for you. Okay, Freeway Ricky Ross was a known drug dealer that became a billionaire in just a short amount of years. CIA was running drugs. Okay, now, what I'll start from my knowledge, Vietnam, the war in Vietnam. The war in Vietnam was a front. Okay, what caused the war in Vietnam? A lie. Our boys are in the river. The Gulf of Tonkin incident, which led us in the war in Vietnam. Okay. Poppies were grown in Vietnam as they were in Afghanistan, right? What is used to make? What is poppy crops used to make? What kind of drugs? Opium and heroin. So, the CIA really got involved in this shit. They had people monitor. They had troops monitoring the poppy crops, even in Afghanistan. Our own troops were guarding the poppy crops in Afghanistan. So, what happens to poppy crop? It is cut up, it is rounded up, it is sent out of Afghanistan to the U.S., the United States. So it could be used to make opium and heroin. So the whole war on drugs has been going on for years, almost 50 years. And heroin was also being, marijuana is a gateway drug. It's a level 1 they say it's a level 1 drug. It's not a drug, it's a plant. Okay. They say it's a gateway drug to heroin, crack cocaine, heroin, all kinds of shit, you know. But now, look at it like this. He talks about racism. He says white people are racist. Time out. Not every white person is a racist. Okay? Not everybody. Not every white person is a racist. Not every black person is a racist. Not every Hispanics are racist. Not every Asians are racist. But there are some that create a group of supremacists. And if you know statues of people that were not racist, who were actually trying to fight to free the slaves during the Civil War, not racists. They're known as abolitionists, or listen, we'll call it. Here, let me bing it here. Let's see, let me bing it. Okay. Someone who's not a racist but trying to free the slaves and shit. Let's see. Not well. It's essentially of a white person who was trying to help free the slaves and shit. There are people that have abolitionists. Okay. I don't know where this French dose guy is trying to, but here's the thing. He talked about George Floyd, right? Okay, let's talk about George Floyd. Right? Let's talk about him. His death was controversial. No bullshit, bar none. But did this guy talk about the autopsy of George Floyd's body? George Floyd may have died with a guy's knee on his neck, but in his system, he had drugs in his system. He had, he had drugs in his system. I don't know if he had meth. I don't know if he had any, but he had drugs in his system. How come nobody's talking about that? How come nobody's talking about George Floyd's death was caused by not just the guy's knee on his neck, but also the drugs he took? He had in his system. He was a known criminal, a drug user himself. But they don't want to talk about that. They only want to talk about the cop that has knee on his neck. How about we talk about the autopsy, okay? How about we talk about that, what he said, gun things is coming from white people and blacks. Beep, beep, back the truck up, pal. What's Black Lives Matter? Supposed to be a peaceful protest, right? Peaceful, non-violent, kind of like Martin Luther King. Non-violent, like Gandhi. Non-violent, but The three fake founders, they're fake founders of the protest. These three dumbasses took the name from the protest and built this dumbass global network thing. And they say, we are trained Marxists. No, the war on drugs was used to go after black people. And it's still being used. You see videos on YouTube on people, I mean, not just black people, but Hispanic people as well as white people getting stopped. And now, if there was ever a question, is this guy getting paid to say this shit? Because if there was ever a question, the question should be, how long until before it ends? How many people have to die to suffer the riots and shit, the looting, okay? The whole thing here, it needs to end. Okay, the president for one. You have black people. You have black people that voted for president. Hispanic people, Asian, women, the LGBT that voted for the president. He had most votes from people of color, more than any other Republican in history of the party. And if you were a black person or an Asian person or a Hispanic person that voted for president, you're labeled a racist. You're a white supremacist mouthpiece. I say bullshit on that. Bullshit. Because nobody deserves any of this shit. People who are Gen Z, my son's generation, baby boomers, Gen X's like myself, Gen Z's like my son, we're rising up. We're all rising up against this shit. You know, we're tired of it. We want it to stop, but the Democrats in D.C., as well as in Sacramento and Albany and Chicago and Lansing, don't want it to stop. They want BLM to keep doing their shit. It's costing people their jobs. They say, does he know that the war on drugs were used to go after black people? Does he know that? No, he does not. He didn't talk about that. I am now. The COINTELPRO was a program created by the FBI to go after the Black Panthers. The Black Panthers were not a problem. They were a solution in the inner cities to help protect the neighborhoods. They were the first ones to start free health care for citizens. They were, before even it ever happened in low-income families today. Depending on the situation. Now, who's involved in this shit? Politicians, bankers, law enforcement, CIA, FBI. They're all involved in it. They're all involved. They're all involved in it. Now, how come French Dose, the lab call it, ain't talking about this shit? Okay. Not every white person's a racist. Not every black person's a racist. Not every Hispanic person's a racist. If you want to know what a arrogant person looks like, you have to look at the actions, their character. Martin Luther King said in his "I Had a Dream" speech, he talks about content of character, not race. Okay, I did a video here not too long ago about how Black Lives Matter doesn't get it. Okay, BLM never got it. The founders of the movement, the Black Lives Matter movement, said they want to try to get up there as famous as Martin Luther King. Okay? Can Black Lives Matter movement, can it become something like MLK and Gandhi without the violence? No. Because they're getting paid to do this shit, right? We all know this crap. Fiscal 2017 and fiscal 2019, they were raking in nearly $5 million. Nearly $5 million. Now, how come French Dose, the butt munch, don't talk about this shit? Doesn't. They were making about $899,000 for travels and expenses, 1.6 in consulting, 2.1 million in salaries, $328,000 a chapter. Now, are the modern day KKK, modern day, when it came to the election, because there were threats, intimidation, people got hurt. Did they get hurt? Yes. There were threats of families. I mean, for example, that one dude up in Michigan, he threatened 2 people, and he threatened to dox where their kids went to school, where they lived, all kinds of shit. This is the crap that needs to be fucking talked about here, man. And I know, and people who, they're angry here, people are angry to the bone, man. I mean, just like, if there was somebody with common sense and to say, look, this is not going to help. This is not going to help at all. This needs to fucking stop. Stop. If you don't like the President Trump, don't give a shit. So what? But then you have AOC wanting to create this Stasi list of Trump supporters, people who worked for the president and his campaign. Write a list and put them into a re-educational camp. Here's my opinion on that. I say we take AOC, take her to Grand Canyon, and just drop her off the cliff. You can't even say that, Grandmaster. You might lose your channel. Oh, whoop. So, in actuality, she's the kind of person who thinks, well, I'm elected now, give me what I want. Well, that's not how it works. You lily-livered yeast infection. I mean, there are things besides the whole political bullshit thing. Now, what this French dose, the butt munch, talking about, that there is no drug war on drugs. He's partially right and partially wrong. Now, and I'll tell it to his face. French dose, the butt munch, you're partially right and partially wrong. There, tell it to his face. The war on drugs, okay? Now, how do you battle this war on drugs? How do you battle a war, but not a war, for the last 48 years? That's been going on. Very simple. Very simple. Well, simple, no. That I got wrong. If we had somebody, a collective, who we all know and love, be the cyber ninjas they are, go in like the best ninja cyber guys ever, and release the Cyber Kraken, folks. Release the Cyber Kraken. Again, drugs here in California was very, very bad in the 80s. The Vlad interview with Freeway Ricky Ross will tell you absolutely everything. This guy he's involved in it big time. Barry Seals, Bill Clinton, George H.W. Bush, Iran-Contra. Drugs were sold in California. The money was used to buy the weapons from Iran, to take the guns to the Contras in Nicaragua. Has he talked about that? No. The Iran-Contra scandal was where the CIA would take the drugs, bring them to the States, sell the drugs, make the money, take the money, take it to the bank where the bankers could launder the drug money. Because bankers have been, for years, for the CIA, laundering the drug money. And they take, the money is laundered through different fronts. Then they take the dough, take it to Iran, buy the guns, take the guns to the Contras in Nicaragua. Hey, French dose the dumbass. Have you talked about that yet? No. And there was a big old thing in Congress about that shit. Oliver North testified. He was charged, but cleared. He was cleared, and it was a classified thing. They're saying, oh, it was classified, but a lot of people went down in D.C. A lot of people from the Reagan administration went down and did some years. Congressmen, senators, you name it, whatever, they all went down. And Mena, Arkansas. Oh yeah, Mena, Arkansas. The whole drug thing, the whole drug thing is like freaking nuts. I didn't know this until years later, until watched more of the YouTube shit, more, and it's really funny because when you hear about this shit years later, you're like, no way, yeah way, this way, holy crap, over my head. So French Toast the dumb shit. How can we talking about that? Get your dumbass people educated on that shit, dude. David Webb or Daniel Webb? Let me see his name here. Let me look it up here. Okay. See here. Let me look at this name here. Let me see here. Okay, the octopus and the suicide. Sorry, it ain't David Webb. It's Gary Webb. Let's see. Journalist Gary Webb and him shot himself twice in the head when he suicided. And okay, now The Octopus was written by Gary Webb, a journalist who worked at the San Jose Mercury newspaper back in the day. And so French Toast the Butt Munch, how come we ain't talk about that shit? If you know about the crap. Both the guys, Gary Webb and Joseph Daniel Cosolaro, were both found dead. Same way, found dead, shot in the head while singing in tub and shit. Because they were investigating the whole Iran-Contra shit, the whole drug thing, CIA, Mena, Arkansas, Iran-Contra. I mean, took them a long time to investigate the whole drug thing. There's a lot of opium being grown in Vietnam and Afghanistan, but not at the same time. But in the 60s, during the Vietnam War, poppies were being grown and being monitored by troops, and they guarded the crops, and the people growing these crops so they could be taken and used to create the drug of heroin and opium. You can make heroin out of the opium plant and shit. CIA took the stuff, took it to have it done, and to make the money. And the money went to the banks, so the bankers laundered the drug money. And so I mean, George Carlin talked about this shit a lot during his shows back in the day, and I mean, it is what it is. I mean, you can't say, well, is there a war on drugs? You could say yeah and no. How many black people were locked up because of drugs? How many Hispanic people were locked up because of the drugs? Well, not just that, you have cartels down in Mexico, Colombia, and other places. They're selling cocaine, they're selling marijuana, all kinds of shit. And they're bringing it over to the United States to sell and make their money. You know, no tax, straight up money, whatever. No. And hearing about this guy. Okay, let me see here. I want to
What up? It's French Deuce. Then we in the lab. Alright, so I want to talk about this so-called war on drugs and gun control. I was talking about that, a couple videos.
Now, let's talk about gun control. Second Amendment to the Constitution. I'm gonna read the second amendment here. Okay. Okay. Second Amendment, right to bear arms. Okay. A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the secure of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. It was ratified on December 15th, 1791. Again. A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people, right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Ratified on December 15th, 1791. Okay. Now you have Democrats. Oh, okay, go. First Amendment, freedom of speech. First Amendment. Congress will make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or the press or the right of the people peacefully to assemble and petition the government of redress of grievance. Ratified December 15th, 1791. Now, Democrats, and you got these left wing. I mean, these fuckers are so far left. It's like they can't go any further left. These are the anti-gun people, anti-Second Amendment people, anti-free speech people. Here's I have homework for everybody who's watching this. Homework. Study the Battle of Athens, 1948 or 46. It was right. It's post World War II. Post World War II. Look it up. And also, everybody on the Anonymous Republican Network group, also look up the Battle of True. I want the Anonymous Republican Network group to also do the homework on the Battle of Athens, 1946 or 1948. And we'll do a video on that Wednesday evening as a group. And also, I would like to invite French Dose so we could educate this butt munch. Hopefully, we could teach them a little schooling on the Battle of Athens. Yeah, Democrats are so far left. They're actually on the parking lot of Taco Bell. But just kidding, French. You're not a butt munch. You're not this butt. French Dose, we would like to invite you to a roundtable, to the roundtable, the Anonymous Republic Network roundtable. If you accept, that's very cool. If you don't, same thing. It's cool. But I seen your video, a little bit of it, but I'll watch more of it. But what I don't get is gun control. Okay. Okay.
Dose, and we in the lab. Alright, so I want to talk about this so-called war on drugs and gun control. I was talking about that, a couple videos back. But it's like, it's something fishy when it comes to these cops. And sometimes I think, are cops regular civilians like us? Do they have ties when it comes to the government like how the feds do? Because the feds know a lot, bro. They know what's going on.
You know what? Let's be honest. That question hit that question. We all need to kind of take a step back. Take a step back. Now, there are good cops and there are crooked cops. The crooked cops, like the feds, there are good people and there are crooked people. There are good cops and there are crooked cops. There are good agents and there's crooked agents. Some cops have political ties, just as the feds have political ties to some people. Is there a question to that? Yeah. Is there an answer to that? Yeah. There's always that term, political connection. Okay. The police chief has political connection with mayors, governors, even the president. Okay. The president, no. Mayor and governor, yeah. Congressmen, yeah. Senators, yeah. There are a lot of cops that have no ties to anything. They just do what they swore their oath to. There are a lot of people who used to be officers blew the whistle. And because if you turn your back on a fellow brother in blue, it's a death sentence. If you're a Fed and you turn your back by whistleblowing to them, whistleblowing is turning your back on your fellow agents or your fellow brothers in blue. That is a death sentence for any officer or any agent. Because when you think about it, when you decide to become a police officer, you go through the academy, and once you go through the academy, you get all this shit put in your. What they do is they want to wipe away your humanity, make you into one of them, soulless, mindless, absolutely obedient. But there's some that go through it and they love what they do because they get so pushed and so indoctrinated into this it's us versus them bullshit mentality. And they'll do it for 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35 years because they love the power. They love the prestige of being a corrupt officer. They love the power. But there's some that took an oath seriously and personally. And that oath never, ever goes away. That's like when you are sworn in after going... the time, I would say about 7:30, 8:30, around there. But there are some officers that do take the oath seriously. And the rookies, they have a lot to learn. If you're a rookie officer, you have to also learn to separate your life as an officer. You have to have some morals. If you ain't got no morals, yeah. If you lost your humanity once you left the academy, as you swore an oath, that oath means nothing to you. Nothing to you. But if you take the oath and you take it seriously and personally, even after you retire, that oath never goes away. That's like if you retire from the military, that oath never goes away. That oath is still in your heart. That oath of defending the Constitution will never go away. It is there for a reason, because you swore to the day you die to protect and to defend the Constitution.
But it's just, the feds deal with bigger shit, right? But the cops, they still get there too. You know what I mean? When they make drug busts and all that. But a lot's been going on lately. We seen with all these riots dealing with Black Lives Matter. We seen what these cops are doing. These were regular officers that got caught doing these They were burning their own property, their cars, the police stations. They did that, well, not the police stations, just the cars and all the vehicles, and burning them and fucking them up, and they got caught doing that. I forget what state it was. I'm gonna look more into that. And we spoke about that a couple of times, and for cops to do that, like, was it because they were Republican and they just wanted to, set up, the Black Lives Matter?
That question there, I got right there on that. Being a Republican or a Democrat has nothing to do with that. None of it. I don't know if it does or not. I don't know. So there are cops that will do some stupid shit. Cops have done some stupid shit. Just recently, there was a sheriff that was arrested for corruption. And there was some officers that were making a bust, an arrest. And he got in their way. He interfered with their job. He was good buddies with I think with a couple of members of the city council, and he got arrested, and they went to seize his cell phone, even his business phone. He gave him the wrong phone, and So they had to go back. They had to go back and get that phone. But they were hoping that when they get it, it's not erased. Nothing is gone. And hoping that he didn't pull a Hillary and deleted anything, you know. So, whether you are a cop or a sheriff's deputy, or don't matter if you were a sheriff or a police chief, you do have some connections. You do have some kind of connection politically and criminally, and sometimes both can be a little kind of shady.
Matter protesters and the looters and all that? Obviously, right? But what reason would they have to do that? Right? And then we seen these other people. The one video where the dude was breaking the window, the first guy that got caught, the white guy that got caught, that was breaking windows and walking around with that uniform on. It didn't look like a cop uniform, but it was like some type of shit. He had the mask on. You know what I mean? Yeah, he was a cop.
I seen that video. Yeah, I seen that video. I seen that. One guy got like really curious, and he seen the guy smashing the window, and his face was covered, and that's like a cop going undercover as a homeless guy that's clean shaven, hair, clean shaven, hair dressed clean. Like, a hobo don't dress clean. They don't look clean. Hair's natted, whatever it is. A cop that goes undercover with a shaved face, haircut, all kinds of clothes, not even dirty. That's like that. Kind of funky, you know.
The dude that was ready to fight him, he said, you know what, I seen you before, you a cop. And then he got even mad. He was ready to fuck the dude up because it was a little dude. But then he just walked off and he just kept it moving. And more incidents of that was happening. So was he really a cop, or was he like a fed, or was he like some type of agent?
Jenny, the guy's not a sheeple. He's questioning. He's questioning things. That's what we do. We question things. He's not a sheeple. He's like us. He's asking questions. That's what he's doing. French Ledos is he awake? Honestly, I think he is. When you question things, you're awake. Awake is to wake up to knowledge. Wake up to question absolutely everything. French Dos, the lab, is questioning everything. He's asking these questions for a reason, because these are, yes, he's like us. He's awake, but he's asking questions because things are getting really fishy. And he's hitting these questions on the head. And if before jumping to conclusions, we need to listen. We need to listen from beginning to end to listen to every word of the questions he's asking. He mentioned war on drugs. He mentioned gun control. Is there gun control going around? Yes. There's, in certain cities, in parts of state, it's going around, but it's very minimal in some cities and some states. He's questioning. We need to listen to every word to the person's question. Instead of jumping the gun, jumping the shark, and also jumping the Grand Canyon without a parachute, we have to take a step back, listen to every word of every of the questions the person's asking.
So they're doing shit like that, right? It's either the feds or the cops, but it just, I don't know. Or is it certain cops that know certain shit that goes on in the government and know certain shit? Because
Listen,
the cops won't have anything to do if martial law happened, right? At least that's what I think. I don't think they get involved in that. Leave a comment, trolls, my supporters. If you guys know that, I don't know everything. But if these things are happening, like
he's not a bad guy.
what up?
He a lot of videos are questioning the UFO. People's been questioning the UFO for many, many years. Ever since the Roswell incident and the Kecksburg incident back in '65. That's like questioning the Jersey Devil, the Mothman, the Goat Man, the Wendigo. It's questions that's been asked for years, even before I was born. People have been asking that question for a long, long time, even before I was born. And that's like the first Bigfoot video came out years ago. Is that really Bigfoot, or is it a guy in a gorilla costume? We don't know. We do want to know if it's legit. Is it cryptid? Like the Wolf Man, like the Goat Man, the Mothman, the Jersey Devil, all the Loch Ness Monster. These are questions that he's asking, and he's throwing it out there.
What up? It's Fresh Dose, and we in the lab. It was rough with them, fucking them up, dragging them to the police car from the sidewalk. You seen them saying, "Get up, get up," and then beating them while they're walking until like they killed him. They killed him. And that was a big riot that lasted for a while. People was fucking cops up. It wasn't even that serious. They fucked up a couple of cops, then the riot just got bigger and bigger. And then everything just was chaos in Baltimore. I didn't even say where it was at. In Baltimore, right? I think I said where it was at. But either way, Baltimore. It was in 2015, Freddie Gray. And then there was another one too, the Mike Brown situation, right? So this been happening, man. Even if that wasn't an Illuminati hit, it been happening. So
Illuminati hit Freddie Gray died because of 6 cops. They broke his back by severing his spine. They threw him in the truck. He died. How come they weren't prosecuted? That's the question. Now Mike Brown. Mike Brown was a criminal. Like George Floyd, Rayshard Brooks, Jacob Blake. These guys were criminals. These guys were not good fellas. What was Freddie Gray? We do not know. We have no idea. We don't know why he died or why he was arrested, then he got killed and shit. Now, Mike Brown should have been up off the ground, not laid there. But what the cops did and said, after Eric Garner died, he was choked to death. The cops mocked the guy by saying, "We can breathe. We can breathe." And they wore a shirt that says, "We can breathe." And the reason why cops are getting violent with protesters, just like if a cop and a person were heading on, they don't like anybody just getting up protesting over the crime that a cop commits. That's like a cop hitting that 12 or 14-year-old kid who had that BB gun and shit. Tamir Rice. Within 3 seconds, they shot the kid. How could you shoot a 12-year-old kid within 3 seconds of stopping your car, getting out of your car, hide behind your fucking door, and shoot a 12-year-old kid within 3 seconds? He was just a kid. Tamir Rice was just a kid, not even junior high yet. 12 years old. And these cops got fucking off. They got off. Why? A little thing called qualified immunity. Killing this 12-year-old kid within 3 seconds of stopping the car, getting out, taking out their weapon and firing. How many times? I don't know. I know what I'm about to say will get me some slack and some heat. I want to see a cop get beat so fucking bad. I want this officer to know what it's like to suffer. I mean, literally suffer. Because of how many people have suffered, innocent people who have suffered. Look at Rodney King. He almost died. Okay? He almost died. Eric Garner died. Okay? Yes, I do agree there are good cops and there's also corrupt cops. I would like to see a corrupt cop get his ass beat so fucking bad. I want him, I mean, not dead, but beaten to a pulp. Okay? That's my opinion. But that's just an opinion. Do I want it done? No. Because if I wanted it done, I would be in the wrong. I would be in the wrong. Now, I admit that. I will be in the wrong. I'll be no worse than Black BLM and Antifa. That's my opinion. But do I want to see a cop get hurt? No. I want to see a corrupt cop go to prison. Go to prison. A corrupt agent needs to be put in prison. Why they don't go? Because they're scared. They're a bunch of fucking pussies. Because the reason the cop fears are going to prison is they're afraid that the person that they screwed over to go to prison is going to find them and shank them. Because they put an innocent person behind bars and lied about it. That Holtzclaw guy, he raped 11 to 13 black women. He's doing 300 years for that. And he's crying. Do you know why he's crying? Because he got caught. He lost all that police power, which he loved so fucking much. And now he'll be someone's bitch in prison. That's why he's crying. That's why every cop fears of going to prison. Because of becoming someone's bitch.
So that's what makes me ask this. What is this war on drugs about? When even if the cops ain't got nothing to do with that shit, right? They still know themselves.
French Dose, I want to tell you something, pal, on that. Cops do have some war on drugs. The war on drugs came out in 1972 when Richard Nixon, when he was president, he announced there was a war on drugs. And the war on drugs was used to go after black people. And also that the COINTELPRO was a program that Hoover came up with to go after the Black Panthers. And but the war on drugs has been going on for a long time, about 48 years, almost 50 years. In the 80s, cops did have some involvement in it too. They were had some connection. They had connections. They would rob drug dealers for their money and dopes, so they could sell it and make money for themselves. If you go back to the NYPD with a guy named Frank Serpico, he was a cop in NYPD in the early 70s. There was a movie about him that had Al Pacino playing Frank Serpico. Frank Serpico was the guy that blew the whistle on the corruption in the NYPD. He was almost killed in the line of duty. If you were a cop that blew the whistle on the corruption of your department that you worked for, you would have to basically constantly look over your head. Over your head. It's like being in a biker gang or in the mob. If you somehow turn evidence against your group, they would want to take you out because you ratted them out. You turn their back on them. That same thing in law enforcement. If you were a cop that blew the whistle on corruption, you would be in fear for your life because they would want to take you out because you ratted some good officers out to them in their minds, So when you really look at the whole war on drug thing, cops got involved, feds, everybody down to the city council. There's a few members of the city council members that got involved and they made money off that shit. Made money. You had border patrol also that like every now and then every once in a while you'll hear about a border patrol agent that would help drug cartels find a way to smuggle the drugs, cocaine, heroin, whatever it was, across the border. And you had LAPD officers, SDPD, sheriff, whatever, who's involved. But you don't hear very much about drug busts anymore. Hardly, but it's happening still. Yeah. But you rarely hear about it being brought over the border because of the wall. And so El Chapo, he had a place where he could dig a hole and tunnel under to get out of prison in Mexico. He was still doing his thing. But yeah, cops do get involved, but it depends on what cop is involved and which ones are doing it, which ones are not doing it, which ones are the hit guys, whatever. Because if you go back to the mob story, history of the mob, there was some detectives in NYPD who were hitmen for the mob. One cop had someone in his family that was mob connected. They became contract killers for the mob. Then you had a officer in the NYPD. Got heavily into the whole drug thing. Him and his partner would beat down drug dealers, take their money, do these false raids, to steal the drugs, to steal the money. But yeah, cops do get involved in some sense. You even have bankers over the years that would launder the drug money. If you read the book The Octopus by Gary Webb, he worked as a reporter with the San Jose Mercury newspaper in San Jose, California, up north in San Jose, and Jeremy Renner, the actor who plays Hawkeye in the movie The Avengers, he played Gary Webb in the movie, and as a reporter for the San Jose Mercury News, he went everywhere. But he was found dead in a hotel room, and he was shot twice in the head. And they said that he died of a suicide. Now, here's the question: how could you kill yourself by shooting yourself in the head twice when only one shot could do what done it? Would have been the coup de grace. There's been mysterious deaths of people, authors, reporters, journalists, doctors, scientists, astrologers. There were, over the last 5 years, there were a lot of bankers, a lot of natural health doctors, and astrologers that died mysteriously. Some were found floating in the river. Some were found dead in a car wreck. Whatever it is, that's like the witnesses to the JFK assassination. Within 4 years, 18 people died after Kennedy died. You know. But
we didn't bring the drugs here. Obviously, cocaine and heroin is not here unless it gets brought here. So who's bringing it here? It's already known that the government and the army bases, they bring that shit here. It's inside people. They bring it here.
Here's something strange. There are ways of, during the war in Vietnam, they would take the metal caskets that the soldiers were died, and they're buried. They're put in this big old metal box with a flag over there, and how they would bring the drugs from Vietnam, they would pack this stuff in the box with their dead fellow soldier that died. Then, when they arrive, they would open up the box, remove the drugs like it never even been there, close the box, go about their business.
They know what it's worth. And it's able to keep the jails and the police, it keeps their money right. You see what I'm saying? It keeps their pockets good. It's $1 million business, not just for the drug dealers. Everything is taxed too.
It's more than $1 million, bub. The war on drugs is a multi-billion-dollar thing, dude. The drug thing is a multi-billion-dollar. Look at El Chapo. The guy's a fucking billionaire. He's a billionaire.
Uncle Sam ain't the only one taxing. We tax him too. It goes both ways, man. But niggas ain't break drugs here. A black man didn't come up with the idea to make a gun. So why is it so easy for people to say the war on drugs in the black communities and in the Latino communities? Why you always want to blame us for it?
The reason is it's the best way. That's like Hillary blaming the President Trump for colluding with Russia with no evidence. It's a escape thing. Yeah, I will.
If y'all would have never brought that here, I guarantee you, people will probably work harder at going to school and doing what they're supposed to do. Did y'all ever think of that? Because there was a time where black folk couldn't even go into fucking schools, the same schools as the white people. Couldn't get that same education. Right? And then things started changing, right? Things started changing. Racism was still there, but everything was congregated.
Black Wall Street. Black people were making money on their side. They were making good money. Period. Good money. The white folk on their side, they're making some money, but not as good money as black people were. Black people they were flourishing. They were prospering economically. So there is some jealousy there to a point. There are hard-working black people that are making good money. Damn good money. And you have white people making some good money. But not as good money as black people are making good money. Because hard-working, intelligent black people, even in Black Wall Street, they were making money. There was a black woman who was a first ever billionaire in the moon during the 20s and 30s. She became a billionaire. She was a moonshiner. A moonshiner. A first black woman billionaire. Oprah was never the... People thought Oprah was the first black woman to be a billionaire. Bullshit. Never was the first to be a billionaire. If a black person made some damn good money, I'm saying like, say, Barry Bonds kind of money. A-Rod kind of money. A white person be like, I bet they're dealing in some sinister shit. I bet it's drugs. A dumbass white person would think that. Everybody has a right to prosper. Everybody has the right to work their ass off, to provide and have something to show for their families. Don't matter if you're black, white, Asian, Hispanic, European, French, Japan, whatever you are, if you bust your ass and have something to provide and show for, then you're something. But when you have one side that's so fucking jealous because you're making a lot of good money, there are going to be some jealous motherfuckers out there wondering how come I'm making all this money and I ain't making much at all. You know, at the time of the Black Wall Street, black people were making damn good money. Damn good money. And that went away. That went away. Why? Why? Dumbass white people at the time. Dumbass motherfuckers at the time. Because they're jealous. They want to keep the black man down. I'm sorry. You just can't do it. You just can't do it. If he or she's busting their ass, making good money, they're paying their bills on time, but they buy a nice house, nice car, and they're working a pretty good, well-paying job, no problem. No problem. But there's always that moment where you're minding your own business, you're driving to work, or you're driving to the store to shop for groceries, or you're driving down the road to go to the doctor or the dentist or shopping or work or go home. All of a sudden, here comes Johnny Law Nutless. Stopping you for no damn reason. You're doing you're following the rules of the road. You're not speeding. You're wearing your seatbelt, hands on the wheel at 10-2. You're doing fine. You're not speeding. But all of a sudden you're stopped. Then all of a sudden something bad happens. Why is it happening? You're not drinking. You're not weaving in and out of the road. You're straight and narrow. You're good. But why is a cop really stopping you? Why is a cop really stopping you? Alright folks, it's good old Grandmaster Evan here. And this is the Anonymous Republic Network. I want to give a shout out to French Dose. And brother, keep questioning everything. Keep questioning everything. We want those motherfuckers shaking their boots. Keep asking the hardball question. If you're new to this channel, like, subscribe, comment below. Hit the bell for notification. And if you are new to this, and if you got this transmission, you are the resistance. Knowledge is free, knowledge is power. Always be healthy and well-wise. I love you guys, and I'll see you all guys in the next video. Peace.